on the live stream. Currently waiting on him to come on. There's Bob now. We're going to add you to.
It just showed up, Bob, where he said, "Give me a sec." Well, there he is.
Here I am.
Here you are. There we
Come on,
go.
bro. Let me
We've
get my
got.
let me get the clothes that are hanging up here in the bedroom out of the picture before my wife kills me.
Okay, that's fun.
What's up?
Oh, nothing much, sir. How are you doing today?
Man, I'm doing good. How you doing?
Oh, doing great. Well, for those of you just joining us here, my name is Will Tyson. I'm with Will Tyson Promotions in Hayesville, North Carolina. Um, Bob, as some of you may know, is the main artist who I represent with my promotions company. And I constantly get people asking me, well, who is Bob Sellers? And so this is what this interview is going to be. We're going to go through just about everything to where I can send this video out to people and they will know. So, Bob, welcome, and I appreciate you
Okay.
doing this.
Thanks, buddy. I'm glad to do it. I'm uh
Uh,
I'm glad to have somebody that's interested enough to care who I am.
Absolutely, absolutely. We'll go ahead and get us started. Obviously, your name is Bob Sellers. Tell our viewers where you're from.
I am from I say Gordo, Alabama. I've spent most of my life in Gordo, Alabama. I was born in Tuscaloosa, Roll Tide, KK. Um, I spent the entirety of my life one county west in Pickens County. So actually, we sold our home in Gordo about a year after I went with the Kingsmen, and we moved 7 or 8 miles, and we have a Carrollton address now. So Carrollton, Alabama, Pickens
So,
County, born and
so
bred.
very nice, very nice. And you mentioned your family. Tell us more about your family. Do you have a wife, kids, anything like that?
Well, my first wife is my current wife. We we
That's
just
always good.
this past June celebrated 23 years, and we've been blessed with 3 kids. We got 2 girls and a boy. Corley's 21. Ellie's 18. Ellie is 18. That's
Yes.
impossible. And
Uh,
Will just turned 16.
Will
So
the Thrill. He's a great guy. All,
yeah.
all your kids are. They're really great. I was. Let's see here, and then another question that has to do with your family that will kind of segue into our next question. Um, um, tell us how you met your wife, because I think our viewers would
Ooh.
would enjoy that.
Golly. Let's see. How can I make this short? I met her the summer before our 7th grade year of school. And she was over at a friend of my sister's house. It wasn't, that friend had a little sister too, and that's who she was over spending the night with or hanging out with or whatever. And so I'm over there with my mom to pick up my sister, Stephanie, and this little girl goes bounding across the front yard. And my heart just said, ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. And that, as fate would have it, she was in my class that next year. I was starting a brand 7th grade. I didn't keep her though. I
Of course you didn't.
I traded her off like a dummy. See, I had everybody think to play a little bit better. No, I traded her off for one of her best friends. But I saw the error of my ways, and I got her back in 9th grade, and then she traded me for one of my best friends. And I got her back our senior year, and I've been like the old George Jones song ever since. I'm gonna hold on.
Well, very nice, very nice. Um, for you, the viewers that you don't know, I met just about everyone in your family. Kansas is a lovely lady. Love her to death. Was so thankful that she got to come and travel with you. first back in Marietta, back in March, whenever I went with you out on the back trip, and then you brought her up here
Yeah.
for y'all's anniversary trip. Got your room where I work, Brasstown Valley Resort and Spa in Young Harris, Georgia, and and
Yeah.
then she obviously liked it.
I could afford that.
Well, you got the friends and family discount.
Good to have
But
friends.
absolutely, absolutely. And then she obviously liked it so good, she came with you 2 weeks later on the trip up to Hayesville whenever you were up there singing it in my hometown.
Yeah, she's probably been with me. Well, she probably went with me. It's over now that school started. She probably went with me this summer more than she's ever been able to. So,
Yeah,
but
that's what I
threatened to
thought. I'd seen a YouTube video from this church in Arkansas, Beryl Baptist, I believe from like 2 years ago, where she went with you.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
Brother Wade, Barrel Baptist.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and so your wife's mother, Becky, um, sort of helped fuel your interest for for singing. But before we get to that, how did you start singing?
Started singing with my mom and my sister just in our little home church, and mom played piano by ear, and she'd hear a song on the. I don't think we had a full time gospel station even back then, but we had one that on Sunday mornings played like the top 40 countdown or whatever. And so she would listen to that and hear songs from the Kingsmen and Gold City and Heaven Bound and groups like that. And if she liked it, she'd sit down and she'd start pecking around and hunt it for a little bit on the piano, and then she'd just take off playing it. And she'd write the words down on a usually on a little yellow steno, I think that's what you call it, little notepad. And she would teach me what part I needed to do, and teach my sister what part she needed to do, and we'd iron it all out till we got it just right. And mom was a stickler. We had to get it right before we presented it down here at Faith Church in front of all 20 people there maybe. And but I'm glad she was, because that really, I had no idea at the time. I didn't know what I was singing. I was just singing whatever mom was telling me I had to. But it really developed not only a passion within me for the music, but I think that's really what developed my ear for hearing the parts and that sort of thing.
Well, that's a great. And most of our viewers will be shocked to know that whenever you got in high school and stuff, you got shy and quit singing. Tell us about that.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, my my friends that knew me would laugh at the thought of me being shy. I wasn't around my friends. I was kind of like a class clown to people I knew. It was strangers as to what I just had a deathly fear of. In fact, uh, when we graduated high school, I had to go and take one of the required classes in junior college. We both did 2 years of junior college before going to 4-year school. But one of the required classes was public speaking, and I dreaded it so bad that I wanted to just drop out because I didn't know everybody in the class. See, and I couldn't imagine just getting up and doing a speech in front of everybody. But best I can say is that God helped me overcome that. And you mentioned Becky, my mother-in-law. She was my buddy. And guys out there, if you're trying to get the girl, get in good with her mom. That's what I found out, because Becky and I, we stayed buddies even the 2.5 years that really after the ninth grade. Kansas, she really broke my heart in two, because I was really starting to fall a little bit then, and I really tried for 2.5 years to get her back, or it took that long to get her back anyway. But Becky was on my side the whole time. Kansas was spoiled. She always had these little brown bag lunches. I don't think she's ever had lunchroom food in her life, but she always had these little brown bag lunches. And of course, I sat right beside her at lunch because her boyfriend wasn't in our class.
Oh.
But her mom always, every day, would pack me a cookie, a brownie, a pack of gummies, something. There was something in her little lunch brown bag with my name on it. And man, she was just a precious lady. I miss her. She's going on to be with the Lord in 2005, but she was one of the best friends that I've ever had. And she didn't have
And
she really she really what she did is started twisting my arm once she found out that I ever had in my life, because we were over at Kansas House one day, and they were cleaning out her room, and they drug out a big Rubbermaid box of accompaniment cassette tapes from under her bed.
Mhm.
And I started finding songs that I knew, and I made a mistake of saying, "Oh, I've sung that one. Me and Mama and Stephanie used to sing that one." And once she found that out, there was no let up in sight. She was going to pester me until I sang at church for her, which I finally got over my nerves and did. I think the first several times, I think it was actually Kansas and I singing together.
very nice.
And so went from there. I got brave enough to sing a solo or whatever, and I guess I've been singing ever since.
So, so then, once you started as singing, you eventually wound up with a local group called the Capstone Quartet. Tell us how you wound up with them.
Yeah, well, they were kind of the group in this area, and I just thought Joe Brown owned the group, and they had sung at my church for homecoming. I don't know how many years. Sang all around, and I would go to different deals where they would be hosting a bigger group and that sort of thing. And I thought Capstone Quartet was the bee's knees at that time. And I made a demo. We had a little CD player slash burner at my church when we kind of upgraded our little sound system. And I'm down there fooling around, and I figured out I could record on it. And so I had some accompaniment CDs or whatever, and I recorded some very rough demos. If I went back and heard them now, I'm sure it would embarrass me to death. But I thought at the time that they were pretty decent. And I was working in the banking business at the time, and I told my wife one day, I just had a feeling that they were going to need a lead singer. This is truth. And I said, I called to let her know. I said, if Joe Brown, he run and managed the group, and he was also a barber in town. He used to cut my hair too. I'm blaming this on Joe. No, uh, but I said, if his little truck is still parked at his barber shop, I'm going to stop by and I'm going to give him one of these demo CDs and let him know if he's ever needing a lead singer. I would appreciate a chance to try out for it. And it wasn't, I guess it wasn't but about a week later that he called me and said that Michael Duckworth, their lead singer at the time, had surrendered to the call to preach and was going to be leaving to preach. And so they were needing the lead singer. And we met, if I remember right, it was on a Monday night. Maybe we met at about 10 o'clock. He handed me a stack of CDs about that thick and said, here's some CDs of songs we do. Learn these tomorrow and we'll get together and see how it works. And I took those CDs and I came down to my church and I sang, I guess nearly most all night long, and got up until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, if I remember right, and got up the next day and went to work, and then met them that night
Wow.
to audition or whatever, see how it sounded. And Joe tells the story. I don't even remember this, but when Joe tells it, he says we got about a third way into the first song and he stopped everything and said you're hired. But I was just so excited to do that, and we had a good time. We had a good group. Those were some of the best guys ever, and still got a lot of friends. And even when we were having fill-ins, when somebody would leave, or like one time our tenor singer Dale Taylor, he broke his leg so bad that he had to miss like a whole gosh, I don't remember what it was, a year and a half, maybe more. In fact, he quit the group, thought he was done, but God eventually healed that leg and got him to where he could walk again. And Joe and just so many others, and then we had others that came and filled in, and we got a new baritone singer toward at least the second half of my tenure there. Danny Scott met Danny, and Danny just had a powerhouse voice. And we actually went to Crossroads in Asheville, same studio where the Kingsmen and so many others record. And
I don't
we
know
spent
where Crossroads is at.
to get a CD made up there. It was called Encore. And
That's a great album. That's a
I'm
great
just saying
album.
that recording was as good as anybody's. And God just
It really
blessed.
was.
And that recording opened a lot of doors for us, and we wound up going to places like New York State and Pennsylvania and Kentucky and Arkansas and doing a lot of different things. So it was good.
And for our viewers out there, that recording is on Apple Music, Spotify, and YouTube, if I'm not mistaken. So if y'all are interested in hearing that recording, it's still out there.
Yep. I think so.
Yeah, so you sang with the Capstones during on the weekends, and you worked in the banking business during the week. Tell us about that.
Hardest work I've ever done in my life.
I imagine so.
I worked 40 plus hours, sometimes 50 or more, all week long, and 3 kids, 3 young kids. And then be gone all weekend just about singing, and it wasn't a whole lot of time off back in those days.
I'd imagine not, because I've done some traveling wicking stuff, and sometimes I've left out on Saturday morning and whatnot, and and get back until late Sunday night, and so having a full-time job on top of that, that get rough after a while for sure. And then so you became unhappy with the banking business, and you started praying for a way out. So tell us about going through that.
Yeah, I enjoyed what I did. I'm it's funny being such a redneck, but I was really a numbers guy. I graduated Alabama with a finance degree, and I started out at Regions Bank, crunching numbers in their credit analyst department. We would package big loan deals, and at that time, Regions in Tuscaloosa could approve a loan right there in town up to I forget what it was, but it was like $10 or $20 million. It was a whole lot of money. And so we would package all those loan deals for loan committee and that sort of thing. And I loved that, but there was just, it was a pitiful amount of money for a full-time job and a college degree. So after about a year of that, I got a lending job, and it was in consumer lending. And in banking, the whole idea is to get into commercial lending. And from there, you can get into actually being an officer of the bank, whether it's vice president or whatever. And, the sky's the limit kind of from there. But so the goal was always to get into commercial lending, which I did. And it was good. I remember like the first year, I accepted that. I was kind of a go-getter as a branch manager, and did a lot of commercial loans. So my big bosses downtown called me in for a meeting one evening after work, and they offered me kind of one of those deals, an offer you can't refuse.
Yeah.
They asked you to come downtown and do this. Well, no. But so yeah, I took it, and I got a big raise. Man, I thought I was the bee's knees, and
Mm-hmm.
The first year, I was just blowing and going. And if I remember right, I think I put more on the books that year than the other two guys down there combined. And so I was the golden boy at the Christmas party, that type of thing. And then the next year, everything turned off. I think that was 2007 when the big recession hit. And so that's when really things started getting bad for me, because my loan volume started going the bad the bad direction. Instead of growing, it started shrinking. And so I started looking for another job. I got hit with some quarterly goals at that place that were kind of impossible to hit, and so the writing was kind of on the wall type deal. And so I found another job, and it was great. It was the best banking job I'd ever had. Great guy, Richard Key, hired me, and I worked there in the office with Terry Mays, and we had a great group of guys. And but then they got in some new management, and everything started getting just like the last place. And that's what all the banks do. It's all about growth and greed and all that. So I just got tired of that dog and pony show. And you're exactly right. I started praying about another way out. And I always say this when I'm talking about it in churches: be careful what you pray for.
Exactly. I have heard you say that many times. So
Yeah.
how whenever you were praying for a way out, did that lead you to the Kingsmen? How did that happen?
Well, I got a chance to fill in for him, and I give Brian Hudson a lot of credit for this. Brian was the lead singer at the time, and if I remember right, a lady in West Virginia passed away that he had always promised that he would sing at her funeral. And so Brian gets in touch with me and says, hey, the guys are singing in South Alabama on Thursday night. I need to be here for this, and can you go and fill in for me? I'm like, he's asking me, will I and can I? I'm like, yeah, this is like the thrill of my lifetime.
Oh, absolutely.
I had gotten to know the guys. They had actually worked for me before I ever worked for them. I'd promoted, concerts with the Kingsmen and had them at church and that sort of thing. And but when they gave me the opportunity to fill in that night, that Thursday night down in South Alabama, I forget where it was exactly, but my entire church, half of Gordo came, and it was just like I said, it was just the thrill of my life. And really, I don't know if Randy Crawford will see this, but he may not admit this, but this is a true story. That night, we were setting up, we were loading in and all, and we finally got everything set up. The microphones were on the outs, the wireless mics had died, and Harold Reed was cutting apart each individual channel on a snake so that we would have mic cords. And we used wired mics that night. So after an hour and a half of fooling with that, for just a few minutes, we had a chance to run over some songs. And Randy was kind of calling the shots of what we were going to do and who was going to do what at the time. And then we go on the bus and get dressed and come in and do the concert. And we did everything, every single song, we did the opposite of what Randy had said we would do. So I don't know if I asked about that. I don't know if that was a test or what. But anyway, no, that night it went great. It was Harold, Reed, and Randy, and myself and Ray Dean. And I felt as natural singing with those guys as I did singing my own group at the time, and it was awesome. It was an awesome thing, and it wasn't a year or so later that that they were needing a baritone. And this I may have the chronology on this mixed up. This may have happened first, but at some point they were needing a baritone singer. And I drove all the way after work one night to Aiken, South Carolina to meet them. I got in town at 3:00 in the morning, and I met them the next morning at a hotel there, and we sang on the bus. And I did not get the job. Randy Crawford had gone to Brian Free Assurance at that time and had left, and he came back and took his old job back. So yeah, I got a lot of beef with Randy. He did the song backwards as we told me, and then he took my job. I'm kidding, but
And he's afraid of clowns.
he is very afraid. Um, they didn't hire me, and Randy came back, and Brandon Reese told me later that when I auditioned for him that time, all he could think about is he's not a baritone singer, he's a lead singer. And so it was less than a year after that they needed a lead singer. And so that's how that came to be.
Yeah, and that's whenever Brian Hudson
But
left the
yeah,
second time.
because of that night, I got to fill in for him. Ray always said that I was the first one that came to mind, and the first one they called. And I didn't even know Brian was leaving. Ray calls me. I'm working at the bank, and he says, "Do you have a passport? We need somebody to come and fill it. We need somebody to go to Canada with us, New Year's weekend or something like that." And and he got me a passport on the fast track somehow. And I thought I was just filling in again. And about the third or fourth time we talked on the phone, he let it slip that Brian was actually leaving. So it wasn't until then that I actually knew that, hey, something may be happening here. But even then, I didn't think a possibility, because I didn't think there was any way I could afford to. I mean, I wasn't making a fortune at the bank, but I was making more than I'd say most gospel singers do. And I didn't know if it would work out or not, so I really didn't get my hopes up. I tried to temper my hopes at least, but God worked it all out. God worked it all.
So whenever you got with them, what was you involved in whenever you were with them? Because shortly after you joined, or it might have been a little bit before you joined, Harold Reed left, and you got to sing for a few months with the legendary Ernie Phillips.
Yeah, it didn't take me long at all to run Harold off. He, he just, as soon as I got there, he was gone. No, but yeah, that was. People asked me what the highlight of my career with the Kingsmen was, and there were a lot of different highlights. But I would say on the two separate occasions that Ernie came and filled in with us, I think it was a total of 6 months, maybe a little more than 6 months. I got to sing, standing right beside Ernie, and the reason that was such a highlight is not because he was. I mean, yeah, Ernie was special as far as singers go. And when he was with us, I mean, people would line up, at the table, just get a chance to talk to him. Old time Kingsman fans from back in the 80s and such, even late 70s, would line up. Oh, he was a chick magnet too. I always kidded him about that. I called him the chick magnet, and he got a kick out of that. But all the ladies love little Ernie. Girls love little guys anyway. Y'all ever notice that? They really do. But he was just such a gracious, and he was so generous in helping people and encouraging people. And that's what I tell people whenever Ernie comes up. It's that not only was he a great singer, one of my favorite tenors that's ever sang a note, but he was even a greater man. Man, he was the real deal. I mean, and he was battling that colon cancer, and it came back on him, especially the second time he sang with us. And at times, you could tell he just didn't really feel that great, because he had started taking some more meds and that sort of thing. But he would be the first one up every morning, out jogging, running around the bus, and just come back on there and just always smiling, always encouraging. And yeah, I'm thankful I got to travel with little Ernie. He's my buddy. In fact, I got a special gift. Let me tell this before I forget it. Her name is Rachel Griggs. She lives in Asheville, and Ernie was also one of her mentors. And she she does. She idolized Ernie, and as a lot of people did. But she brought me a hand made pen, wooden pen this weekend, and it's got my name on one side, and on the other side it says in honor of Ernie. So I appreciate that. Thanks, Rachel.
I remember seeing her give you that this past
Yeah,
weekend. That was pretty cool. That was
yeah,
really
the
nice of her.
collectibles box.
Absolutely,
I'll
absolutely.
tell you another quick story about Ernie,
Okay.
and really Bonnie too, his wife.
Mhm.
Uh, the first Christmas that I spent away from the Kingsman, um, I got a letter in the mail, and it was from Bonnie and Ernie, and she said that every year since I think she said since Ernie had left the Kingsman, that every year at Christmas time that she and Ernie pray about it, and they select a ministry that they know just to bless at Christmas time. And there was I don't think she would mind me telling this. There was $100 check and it just meant so much to me. And that letter and that check came to my house the day before Ernie passed away.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. If I hadn't have been
Yeah.
so ever cash it, I wish I still had it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So
Special
go back, huh?
special guy.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm saying I never had the privilege of a meeting Ernie, and I really wish that I could have, but one day.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right.
But but anyways, getting back to the Kingsman, your first National Quartet convention was in 2012, and Crossroads turned y'all sets from that year's NQC into a live DVD and CD combo that they released sometime in 2013. What
Mhm.
was it like being a part of that recording? Because you have a pretty special song on
Scary,
there.
scary, scary. Uh, very scary. That was my first quartet convention to ever sing on main stage. As a part-time singer, you look. I think the first convention I ever went to was maybe in 2007 in
Mm-hmm.
Louisville, and you sit up. I mean, you sit up there in the stands and you look down there at that stage and you say, "Man, one day I would love to do that. I would love to be there." And you just think that is just like the holy grail. That's the pinnacle of singing, is being able to stand on that main stage at the National Quartet Convention and sing in front of, at the time, I think even then, my first year to do it, I think there was about 16,000 people there uh, on average at nights. And in Louisville, it was different. Um, it just had if you've ever been to a concert, any type of a concert, it had a concert, big arena type feel to it,
Mm-hmm.
which only made the nerves worse. I don't get nervous singing really. The most nerves I ever have are at funerals, and that's just because, man, normally somebody hasn't invited me to sing at a funeral unless it was somebody I know, a family that I knew, and I just want to be at my all-time best in uh, so that I can bring as much honor to that person that we're there celebrating their life as possible, and so that maybe through me God can bring them some comfort. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
always, praying and just nervous that I'll be at my very best at a funeral. And then I get nervous in very small crowds, like when I come back and sing at my home church. I'm
Mm-hmm.
more singing at my home church in front of 20, 30 people than I would be in front of thousands. But
Yeah.
I got nerves that first year at NQC like I've never had before or since. I mean, it was like I seriously think I'm about to throw up type nerves, cotton
Oh.
mouth. There's a neurological thing when you get really nervous, you can't quit yawning. I
Mm-hmm.
found that out that first night. I couldn't quit yawning. So, man, God just got me through that. And then we walk out there and we're recording a live album on top of it. So we did songs like Land of the Free. And
That's the one that I was referring to about, you have a big part on, because that's such a powerful song. And they had recorded that song originally back in 2001, I think, maybe. It was somewhere in that neighborhood. So it was over 9/11 weekend whenever they had that, and that's why y'all
yeah,
sang that, I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yep,
Yeah,
yep.
so with those
Big
nerves,
song,
what was it like
big,
singing
big,
that song?
big song. And it was one of those songs we really didn't sing every time we went out or sing that often. So those are the kind that you forget the words to.
Well,
So
you fortunately didn't, and I
didn't.
encourage all our viewers on here to go into YouTube or your streaming platforms and type in the Kingsmen Land of the Free Front Row Live, and that should pop right up, and give it a listen. It is a top notch recording, and you did a phenomenal job on there, my friend. You could not tell that you were nervous on that recording.
Oh, I can when I listen to it, but
Well,
I'm,
us
I'm
the listeners
first
can't.
Christian. I was
Plus,
always sick at National Quartet Convention on top
you
of
were
things.
all you were always sick on the Kingsman bus. Period.
That is true. I don't know if I have a diesel allergy or maybe those old buses get moldy or whatever, but that's an absolute truth. That was the thorn in my side of traveling full time with the Kingsmen. I was either sick or getting over it or just about to get it again. And when I say sick, it was allergies and sinus stuff just constantly. And sometimes it'd be worse than that. Only one time I was so sick that I actually had to miss singing, and that was I left home one Wednesday afternoon. I'd leave at 2 o'clock Central time to get up there by midnight when the bus left on Wednesdays. And I left out. I felt just fine. By the time I got to Asheville, North Carolina, I could hardly put one foot in front of the next. And I had spiked a fever. I remember getting in my bunk and covering up and just shivering. I was so cold and had such fever. And so I'm sure it was the flu. But I ran fever for 2 or 3 days. And I don't think anybody else on the bus got it, thank goodness. But I did not sing Thursday. I don't even remember where we were or where I was supposed to be singing, but I didn't get out of the bed all day except to use the bathroom every few hours. And
Wow.
then I remember Friday morning we were in Shipshewana at the Blue Gate Theater,
Hmm.
and I did sing for that, but I didn't do one thing as far as setting up. I managed to get my suit on. I walked in, sang the songs, and went to the bus. And
Wow.
I asked them. I hope they told everybody at the table that I was on my deathbed and what just been food. That's that's
Oh
a
yeah.
that, that's a good segue for don't always judge someone if they're not as nice to you at the table or when you see them or whatever. If you're at a concert, as you think they should be, they may be very well near death with the flu.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, another thing that whenever you were with the Kingsmen that you had a very instrumental part in being in was the recording of the album Battle Cry, which was a very good seller. I forgot where exactly that album fell on the charts, but that was the best selling Kingsman album in years.
Yeah, yeah. We cut that album and we thought the songs were pretty good. And but it really took on another kind of life when we had a meeting with Horizon with Mickey Gamble and Chris White and Jeff, all the folks over at Horizon. Not long after that album was released, And I remember Mickey Gamble coming in the room, and he said that he listened to the CD on his way to work one morning,
Mm-hmm.
and he pulled in the parking lot, and he just sat there and listened to the rest of it. And he said that he cried when he
Mm-hmm.
heard it, because, and he was being, super emotional about this thing. He said because that's what Southern gospel music is supposed to sound like. And, you know, in so many ways, we've gotten away from that, but battle cry, that's what Southern gospel music is supposed to sound like.
Yeah, yeah, Battle Cry really was the pinnacle to me of the Kingsman sound. It just had something about it. My favorite song, I I say my favorite song. There's actually two songs on there, both that you sang. That's my favorites off the album. It's "Cross of Grace" and "Faith." Both are my favorites.
Yeah, uh, Faith. Faith was, I always loved singing Faith, and Cross of Grace too. Just two great songs. That that album to me, uh, it will always be emblematic of that lineup of the me and Randy, Chris and Ray
Oh
lineup.
yeah, it definitely will.
It was I was honored to be a part of it. I really was. And here's a trivia for years to come from now. What what unusual event was going on during the recording of the Kingsmen's album Battle Cry? There was a steamroller paving the parking lot all week long. We got there the first
Wow.
day, and I thought Jeff was going to lose his mind, because every time he would hit the button to record, all we could hear was this steamroller in the parking lot. But he would go back and listen, and we would go back and listen, and there was nothing there. It never came through the microphones. It never came through on the recordings. But
I had no
it
idea
was
that that
shaking
happened.
the building at times, and we just
Wow.
pushed right on right through it.
Well, 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 that's something I'll certainly never forget.
I
So,
need to ask Jeff if their parking lot's been paved since then. I don't know.
yeah, I know.
They were
Yeah, I
supposed
know.
to have been there like the weekend and did it, but didn't show up, and then they showed up while we were then there cutting Battle Cry.
So Battle Cry came out in 2014, and then the next Kingsman album took a jump and did not come out until 2017. What was going on during those few years where another album did not come out?
Well, I'd say the biggest thing was we lost our tenor singer, Chris Jenkins, for for 2 or 3 different reasons. Had left. Uh, it was no hard feelings. It was just personal things going on with him at the time. That it was just a better situation for him to go and do something else. And
Yeah, Chris had told me why he left, and I don't blame him a bit.
oh yeah, yeah. Um, and So you got 3 or 4 months in there when we don't have a tenor singer,
Ernie
and
came
we
back and filled in,
Ernie's
during
filling
that
in.
time again.
I don't have a tenor singer. I meant we don't have a permanent tenor singer. We're
Gotcha,
looking
gotcha, gotcha.
and auditioning people, and and using Ernie. And I wish we'd cut an album with Ernie.
If I could say one thing to Brandon Reese, I would say that's the biggest mistake you ever made was not cutting another
Well,
album with Ernie.
Ernie, we knew all along that Ernie was just filling in. So
Hmm.
and it really took everything he had just to fill in, especially that second time. Bless his
Hmm.
heart. But man, what a guy! What a guy! Anyway, so then you hire a tenor singer, and then it's a matter of a group gelling from a sound perspective and that sort of thing. And then you go back to the start of picking out songs and that sort of thing. So yeah, I would have loved to had a few more mainline Kingsman projects that I was on, but oh well.
Yeah, I know. Well, the next album that came out in 2017, called "They Don't Know," and I heard that title confused a lot of people. They don't know. What does that mean? Listen to the first song, and there and there you have it. But a great
Yeah,
song off of that album
uh, one of our
was,
songs off of Battle
uh,
Cry was "I Know," and then we had a CD called "They Don't Know."
oh, I know. Yeah, I know.
Oh, I know.
But 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 a great song off of "They Don't Know" was another one that you were featured on called "Cost of the Cross." Can you tell us how that song came on that album?
Cost of the Cross and I Know. Of course, Miss Isla Knight wrote "I Know,"
Mhm.
and she also wrote "I'll Sail Away Yonder" on the They Don't Know album. Two killer quartet songs. Uh,
Definitely.
I Know and Cost of the Cross were the two favorite songs of mine that I had a chance to record.
Hmm.
With Cost of the Cross was written by Christy Fitzwater and um, Gerald in Georgia. I'm losing my marbles. Gerald Hill.
Hmm.
And Christy actually had emailed me that song. I think I'm right on all the details on this. She had emailed me with that song. All the songwriters know when the groups are looking for uh, new cuts for a new recording.
Hmm.
And she emails me "Cost of the Cross," and I fell in love with the song. I love the song. The problem was when she emailed it, we had already picked out 10 songs to record.
Hmm.
Us and the label had settled on the 10 to record. And I said, this is a great song, and we want to cut it. And when we do, I want to sing it because I absolutely love the song. And and I said, please, let us hang on to it because hopefully it won't be, you know, another year or two, and we'll be looking for songs again. And she said, okay, that'd be fine. But she did something that was very smart. All of you aspiring songwriters out there. We were in Pennsylvania. I think Christy lives in Virginia. I may have it just opposite. I'm not sure. But anyway, we were singing about 3 hours from her. And she showed up and she had a copy of that demo on a hard CD and she handed it to Ray Reese. And Ray doesn't disregard anything. He probably has demos that people gave him 25, 30 years ago. And so the next week, Ray is playing the demo in his office. And his secretary, Wendy, heard it and she fell in love with the song. And then Ray's wife, Miss Carolyn Reese, heard the song and she fell in love with the song.
Hmm.
And um, Ray, being Ray, called the record company and they agreed. So we wound up having 11 songs on that CD instead of 10. So
Well, that
they,
was a great decision because that was the best song on the whole album.
yeah, and we wound up um, we kind of called that Miss Carolyn song because um, Ray's wife Carolyn passed away actually while we were in the process of cutting that record, and so she never got to hear the finished result, but she did hear and fall in love with the demo.
Well, that's a great story. So that album came out in 2017. 2018 was whenever you left the Kingsmen. Tell us what was going on in 2018 and how you uh, decide that it was time to leave the Kingsmen and go on to other things.
Well, it had been on my heart uh, and mind for over a year already. um, I had never sung with another full-time group. Kingsman was my first full-time group to sing with. I didn't know what to expect. Um, I believed then, just as I do now, that it was God's will for my life at that time. But I also believe, just like the Bible teaches us, that there are seasons for everything, and that was a season in my life. And my wife and I prayed about it for a long, long time, and I just reached a conclusion that season of my life was changing, and I needed to move on. And I really just got tired of being gone from home so much. That was even after I turned in my notice, Ray had just every now and then he'd grab me coming down the hall. Cousin, yeah, really, what's going on? Really, why are you leaving? Really?
I can hear Ray saying
I already
that.
told you. Man. I just got to be home more. And and part of that's on me because I chose to commute right at 1,000 miles a week just to get to the other side of Asheville and get on the bus. I left here on Wednesdays and I gave myself um, 10 hours to get to Asheville, and then wherever we finished and whenever we got back to Swannanoa, North Carolina, I had to make that trip home. Now I would work logistics so that I didn't always have to do that. I'd park in Knoxville, or I would meet them and and my dad would carry me, or my dad would pick me up so that I would be home more. I would do all kind of crazy stuff just to get one more day or 12 more hours or whatever it was that I could get at home. And
Yeah, because on average you were getting 1 or 2 days a week at home.
yeah, Tuesdays was normally the only day that I could normally count on, and some days I couldn't count on that. You really couldn't count on that. If you made plans, okay, so your daughter wants to go to a concert and it's going to be on a Tuesday night. As sure as you did, you'd be gone for 2 weeks straight. That was just the way
Yeah.
it worked. And hey, some guys are cut out for that for life. Ray Reese, I mean, it's all he's ever known. It's all he's ever done. He's lived that lifestyle for 55 years. Wouldn't know what else to do. I would talk to him when they were sitting at home last year during shutdowns and all, and he would just be about to go crazy. I don't know how many times he trimmed back trees and cut the grass 2 or 3 times a week and everything else. Keep his mind occupied. But I just find, never say never. People have asked me, well, would you ever sing with another group again? I learned a long time ago to never say never. You don't really know what's down the road, but it'd be hard. It'd be hard for me to get back to being away from home again at that pace. That was the only reason I left. I told Ray when I left that if he could cut back to about 100 dates a year and still afford to pay everybody, he wouldn't run me off with a stick. And that's true.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no. So in 2018, the Memphis Quartet show was your last show with the Kingsmen. Was it hard knowing that you were going up there for the last time with those guys as a full-time member, at least?
Yeah, it kind of was. It was emotional for me that night. It was my dream job. It was my dream job. When I was with Capstone, I didn't have these big aspirations of singing with a big group or singing full time or anything. I just thought I was where God would always have me. I thought I'm here. I'm in the banking. I've got a degree, and I'm just going to do this and sing part time. And but when it became a reality, uh, it was my dream come true. I grew up. The Kingsmen were my favorite group. The Kingsmen and the Cathedrals. Those were my 2 favorite groups. And for the first opportunity that I ever had to sing with a major group was my favorite group. I mean, it was a dream come true. So it was emotional for me that night in Memphis. It really was. I hated to leave those guys. I missed the guys. I missed the camaraderie. I missed sitting up all night with the Western Channel going and listening to Ray tell stories and that sort of thing. And I miss a lot of the fans that became friends in some places maybe that I don't get to go that often now. I miss seeing a lot of those folks, and God's also blessed me. I do get to see a lot of those people too. But it was just time for me to head a different direction.
So immediately after the Memphis Quartet show that year, you started a solo career. Tell us about that, and of course you're still doing your solo career now. Tell us about how you started your solo career, how you got the piece about doing the solo career.
Well, I had to I had to make some money some way. I didn't want to leave the Kingsmen for another group. I may could have started putting feelers out and that sort of thing, and left for another group with maybe the promise of being off every Thursday, or I'd seen that stuff in the past and knew it never really panned out, and so I didn't want to be one of those guys that left a group to spend more time at home and then get on the bus with another group. So I set out to sing as a soloist. And even though I didn't have a midnight cry, or I didn't have a lead vocalist of the year, or all these things, my goals have always been what I would consider pretty unique, in that they're very simple. I told God when I started that if he would open enough doors for me to be able to go and do what he has called and equipped me to do, and be able to put food on my table, buy groceries, and still pay the bills, that I would never ask for another thing. And that is the absolute truth.
That has obviously has happened for you.
Absolutely. I mean, in ways that have just confounded my mind. God has just blown me away with the blessings that he has bestowed on me. And I've gone places and met people, and I go where I want to, when I want to, stop when I want to, eat what I want to, wear what I want to. And, we all have an innate desire to do those things, but you can't when you work for somebody else. You've got to respect their wishes, and not that we ever butted any heads. I never had a problem with the Kingsmen. And people have asked me what kind of boss was Ray Reese, off stage, on the bus, what was he like to work for? He was my best friend. That is the absolute truth. We knew what was expected, but we all had kind of been there, done that too. And Ray respected us enough to know that he didn't have to lay down the law left and right. He knew that we were going to be professionals, and we were going to put that group at all times, on stage or off stage, in the best light that we could, and that sort of thing. And because we did that, I think that Ray respected us all for that, and made working singing gospel music is, the work is driving to the bus, loading in and out. But in all, it's almost funny to call it work, because it's it's doing what you love and getting paid to do it. But Ray was the best boss anybody could ever ask for. In fact, I told him this probably the first, year I was there. If he called me to the front of the bus, I was scared to death, because I had been beaten down so low in the banking business I mean, it was never good when the boss called you in the banking business. You
Mm-hmm.
weren't doing this right, or you weren't doing enough of this or that. And so every time Ray would, can you come up here? Well, I'm looking for my bus keys, you know, here we go. Or he'd call me on the phone and I'd be nervous. I'm thinking, oh gosh, what have I done? So it took me like a year to just figure out that Ray was less of a boss and more of just my best friend. And he still is, by the way. I talk to him on average at least once every week or every 2 weeks. And he is an hilarious old cat, boy. A lot of people don't know how funny that man really is and how quick-witted he is.
Tell our viewers, since you're on that topic, a funny Ray Reese story. The one that I think about is about the brown recluses.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I get the funniest phone call every now and then. He called me a few months back, and he says, cousin. He says, can a brown recluse hop? I said, where's this coming from? Come to find out, he had well crickets in his basement, in his office. The Kingsman office is in his basement. And he thought those whale crickets were brown recluse. It may have been that same week he called me and he said, cousin. He calls everybody cousin. He and Arthur Rice started calling each other cousin when the Kingsmen hired Arthur because they are cousins. Arthur's daddy and Ray's mother were brothers and sisters.
And not too many people know that.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think that's right. But I know that Ray's mother was a Rice. Anyway, yeah, so they start calling each other cousin. And so Ray calls everybody cousin. And I said, cousin, what's it mean when a buzzard lands on top of your house? Right on top of my bedroom. I said, Ray, that means getting your life in order.
No, Ray is funny. I remember back last year we were sitting at Montel Bond in Hiawassee, Georgia, and we were and it was you and I, Will the Thrill.
Will the Thrill making an appearance. Come here,
absolutely.
I don't care what your hair looks like. Look at mine.
Well, I was in the gym, so I'm all hot, sweaty, and sticky. So no shame here. So for our viewers, this is Bob's son Will, which I think is hilarious because my father's name is Robert. You know, Bob being short for Robert, and his son's name is Will.
Yeah, he's almost big as me.
Yeah, I know. He's he's almost taller than me now. It seems like he shot up since April last time I saw him.
This summer, man, I don't know. Maybe it's all these vitamins his mom was giving us.
Probably so. But getting back to what we were talking about. So after you started your solo career, the next day you got a call from a gentleman named Les Butler. What was that call about?
You know, Les said, yeah, I think it was the day after that came out in Singing News. Les said, my wife and I were traveling this week, and he said, you may not believe this, but he said, you just came up. And I said, if he ever leaves the Kingsmen, I'm gonna call him and see if he'd come sing with us. And you know, that got my attention right there. And I know he's telling the truth because Les is an honest guy.
Yeah.
And so I told him exactly what I told you a while ago. I was so afraid of getting that perception. Well, first of all, I wanted to establish my solo deal, you know, and I wanted people to see that I was serious about that. And second off, I didn't want to be perceived as somebody leaving one group to go with another one. You know, after having a whole week off to spend more time with his family, like you see so much of. And so I told him that, and he understood that. And we would talk ever so often. And Les told me he wasn't considering or wasn't talking to anybody else. That they had a lead singer till the end of the year. So this was June. So I basically had the second half of the year to make up my mind about it. But we would talk every now and then. And the more we talked, the more it seemed like it'd be a pretty good idea for me. And we were going to keep it to around 50, 60 dates a year, which I'm thinking in my head, okay, that's about a weekend a month that I wouldn't have to worry about booking myself. And some different things. And so again, prayed about it, and you know, I felt like it wouldn't hurt. So I told Les, I committed to him, and I said, if you know, as long as you don't have a problem with my solo thing being my main thing, and this being secondary, because I'm going to be promoting my solo ministry, because I really feel like that's what God wants me to work in the hardest on at this stage in life. And he was absolutely cool with that. In fact, even said, well, you know, we can even you can even make new contacts at the places we go sing, and hopefully come back and sing for him solo. So it was just a win-win situation for me. And I said, okay, after the first of the year, I'll come sing lead for you. And so,
Well, and you did sing here and there for them in 2018, filling in for Lee McNeil.
yeah, I did fill in a couple of times for him. I think the first time was in Morristown, Tennessee.
That was the first time, to the best of my recollection. And then I remember you did in July of 2018. You did a live stream from, I think it was up in Kentucky, if I'm not mistaken.
You probably remember. I do.
I don't know. I just remember watching that live stream and thinking, man, these guys sound good. You know, because you got a great tenor like Tim Owens and Les Butler on the baritone, and the legendary Mike Holcomb on the bass. I mean, I thought, man, this is a powerhouse lineup right here. And then your first weekend with them was in January 2019. First official weekend was in 2019 at the First Free Will Baptist Church in Southern Florida. Was that correct?
I have no idea. Will, you have a 22-year-old mind, okay? I have a 45-year-old mind.
Well, I believe that I saw that in the First Free Will Baptist Church down there does a live stream. I think that Lessa, you know, mentioned that in the video as well. So for about 10 months in 2019, you did both Old Time Preachers Quartet and your solo ministry. And after about 10 months, you left the Old Time Preachers Quartet. What happened with that? Why did you decide to leave?
It was just too much. It was just too much. Our 50 to 60 dates turned into over 100 a year.
Oh, wow. That's a big jump.
The big jump. So I was having to miss a lot of dates. And I never liked that. When I was with Capstone or Kingsman or Old Time Preachers, if, you know, my face is on the poster, the church has booked this group, people are coming to see that group, they're expecting to see that lead, that baritone, that tenor, that bass. So whether I did or whether I didn't, I felt like I was always possibly letting somebody down if I had to miss a date, no matter who I was with. And I couldn't stand that. So we just agreed to part ways.
Yeah, well, that's certainly understandable. So now you're doing your solo career full time, and tell us more about that. You know, really, where you've been, where you're going, what you've done, if you've recorded any, projects or whatnot, what you got planned for the future. You can just touch on some of that.
Well, I've been very blessed. I told you I have different goals and aspirations than maybe some people out there. My goal and aspirations is just to go as much as God wants me to and will provide for me to, and to be able to buy groceries and pay bills. And He is blessed in that. I felt the need to strike while the iron was hot right after I left the Kingsmen, trying to establish myself as much as possible. Some months I was doing as many as 22 dates a month. Then all of a sudden COVID hits. That's it. That decision to go solo would have been a lot different had I been able to see that coming. But I'm so glad still that I did, because even through that, God blessed. He blessed in ways that I would have never seen coming. I'll give you one good example, and please, nobody out there perceive this as boasting in any type of way, except boasting on God. In Georgia, on a Sunday night, right before COVID shut down everything in my date book last year.
Mm-hmm.
The last man walking out the door that night to leave, I spoke to him and I said, "Hey, appreciate you being here tonight. Appreciate you coming." And he introduced himself, and we got to talking. And he helped me load out. He went up helping me load my equipment out, and shook my hand and left $100 bill in my hand. And for the next, remember, I've met this man one time in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So this isn't a testament to any impact that I have on somebody. It's just a testament to how good God is. I met him one time in my life, and every month for at least a year, maybe 14, 16 months after that, I got a $400 check in the mail from that man and his wife.
Wow.
And that's just one example. There's precious folks that still send me a monthly donation. And I'm gonna tell you, sometimes I just open those envelopes, and especially during last year when things were so slow and so tough, and I would just cry a little bit and just have a little church right there, because it was just like, and whether the people that were and do help me realize it or not, God uses them to let me know that everything was going to be fine. And that's just a very humbling thing. And I mean, because I don't deserve that. I'm not worthy of it. My singing is not worthy of it. My recordings are not worthy of it. Nothing within me is worthy of that. Yet God still uses those people to bless me in such a way.
It just shows your humility right there, because you have people all across this country who love you to death, myself included.
Well, God has allowed me, my favorite thing about being with the Kingsmen and about what I do now is getting to meet people all over the country. And he has put some people in my life that are so special to me, and are even so special to my family. We've got dear personal friends right now that we would have never had I not sang with the Kingsmen. So,
I would never I never would have met you if you never would have went with the Kingsman.
And I hope he realizes how much I mean it. That I will always have a debt of gratitude to Ray and Brandon and Miss Carolyn and whole Reese family for giving me a chance. Because I was not the easy choice, and the reason I say that is, if you look at most guys in this industry, their dad sang here, their uncle sang there, their mom wrote this song. Most of the people in this industry come from a long line of people in this industry, if not direct, in some indirect way. And I was just an unknown nobody from Gordo, Alabama, and still am. That was a risk they took when they hired me. And
I'm sure glad that they did. I know that other people watching and not watching this, I know they feel the same.
And there were, they could have found somebody to come sing lead for the Kingsman Quartet that was a lot better than I was, a lot better singer, a lot prettier, had a lot more hair. Well, I don't know. That lead singer, he doesn't have any hair either.
Well,
He's
yeah,
not
I know.
pretty either.
I joke around with Chris Bryan and say that whenever Bob Sellers left, they replaced the bald guy with a bald guy. This is just the newer version.
Yeah, young version too.
Yeah, no, and this version has a beard, even though he started out with a goatee. Then it morphed into a beard.
Yeah, he's got to get his heart right.
Okay, now let me see what else we have here on the thing. So about your solo ministry, where all across the country have you traveled with your solo ministry?
I have been from Miami to Michigan to Phoenix.
And what does it cost to book you?
For churches?
For churches, yeah.
I've never placed any set charge on church. I travel cheap. I don't rent an office space or anything like that. I have very little overhead except for recording and cost of merchandise and that sort of thing, and travel expenses, and I even keep those low. I have the most economical bus in all of gospel music. It's a Honda Civic hybrid. I get 45 miles a gallon. 48 if I drive right.
Oh yeah, that's a.
But
you've been driving that thing since 2016. That's been a good little car for you.
Yeah.
And you had another Civic before that.
I was on it. They're good little cars.
Oh yeah.
But I've had people in the industry send me private messages. Well, how in the world did you do that? How do you go and just not know? And I just, it just works for me. I don't know. I don't knock what anybody else does. It just works for me. Obviously, sometimes it comes back to bite me a little bit. But for every one of those, I'll have 10 that are surprises the other way. So,
absolutely. And that's exactly right. So, what can people expect at a Bob Sellers solo concert? What can people expect?
Well, songs old, new, slow, fast, something in between. I strive to give something that everybody in the audience would relate to, no matter what age,
nice.
No matter what life experience they've had, no matter what they may be going through, no matter how good they've had it, no matter how bad they've had it. I try my best to sing something that everybody in the building will relate to. And
Very
other,
nice.
I say a little prayer every time before I ever take a stage, and well, first of all, God, hide me behind the cross. Forgive me if there's anything in my life that would prevent you from working in this service tonight as it should. Step me aside. Just use me as a tool so that you can reach people. Touch my heart, touch my mind, give me clarity of voice. Let me be the best that I can be so that you are received the best that you can be received. And I'm gonna sing. I'm gonna tell a story or two. I might cry a little bit.
Yeah.
I laugh. I probably laugh a lot. I just
Oh, yeah.
I just get on stage and act natural and sing songs that I like and in hopes and prayers that something will be done, said or sung that somebody else will like, and most importantly that'll bring honor and glory to God. And
I've
I'll
definitely seen.
I wouldn't call it preaching, even though I get accused of it every now and then. I always make sure that people realize why I'm singing. That it's not just up to sing and put on a show and collect their offering and move on to the next spot. I'm there, as cliche as it sounds, I'm there to try to win one soul. And
A certain event that triggers back in my mind where I believe that has happened, and especially being that I travel with you as much as I do, was back in May whenever we were at Tamatla Baptist Church in Murphy, Marble, North Carolina. We had church that morning.
yeah,
We had church that morning.
yep, we did. And I know you'll remember that service started out a little bit uniquely.
Yes, it did. I had got so our viewers can have some context. I had gotten there before him. I'd spoken with the pastor, and I said, "Okay, pastor, what's going to be the order of the service?" And he goes, "We're just going to let the Spirit lead." And I go, "Okay." and we were just kind of sitting there for a long time, and they had a bunch of other stuff going on prior. I'm like, where are we going to get to sing, And eventually you got to, and you start out singing Gospel Road, and it has that little false ending in there, and they were clapping and hooping and hollering right at the false ending, and that's when I knew, oh man, this is going to be good.
That's pretty good. That's a pretty good pickup there, Will. I always know it's a good church in that little false ending that the people clap and stuff.
Oh, I know.
But yeah, that was a Sunday morning, and I'm pretty sure I didn't get up there until either 10 or 15 after 11.
No, it was nearly noon whenever you got up.
Well, I knew it was late, and I didn't really know what to do. I didn't know if they wanted out in 10 minutes or if they wanted out an hour and a half. But we just we did like the pastor said, just let the Lord lead. We ended up having a good
time. Absolutely. There was a young lady there. Bob was giving the testimony and whatnot, and we were kind of looking out, and we could just tell that she was soaking up everything that he was saying. Everything.
Yeah, I remember her.
I know.
Rodney Griffin, one of my favorite songwriters, one of the best modern day songwriters that we have, had a song called Faces years ago. And I think of that song just about every time that happens in a service, where you don't necessarily see that person move, but you can tell. When you're up there singing, and I'm sure preachers are this way too, but when you're up there ministering to somebody, a lot of people are paying attention, a lot of them are smiling, but sometimes somebody will just lock in. And you can tell that something's going on in their heart there. And I'm a firm believer that although we may not always see the fruit of that the
Mhm.
seed being planted, and the Holy Spirit will water it, and maybe when we all get to heaven, we'll
Absolutely. And I can tell our viewers a little story about that young lady too. It was 2 days later, and I was at work at Brasco Valley Resort and Spa, and I was working in the dining room at the time, and I was just standing there at the host stand. I saw this young couple. They look a little younger than me, and they were kind of striking in my direction, and I was like, they look so familiar to me. Why do they look so familiar to me? And then they get right up to me, and the young lady goes, "You were at my church on Sunday." And I go, "Yeah, I suppose I was." And she goes, "You're the Cherokee Cowboy."
That's right. That preacher gave you a nickname that morning.
Yes, he did. I don't even know where that even came from. I have no clue.
I don't either.
No, but she said that, and boy, did she brag on the saying how much she enjoyed you. So there definitely was something with those, with the faces. She definitely did get something out of that, and that's definitely the most memorable thing that I remember traveling. Which leads me into this question. My buddy Helen Hudgens from college has a question here, and she says, "What was your favorite event or memory so far this year from traveling?"
Oh, this year. Hmm. Let me come back to that one.
Okay, well then we'll just go and um, we'll stay on your solo career. What is your favorite song to sing, and what is the most requested song you get?
These are tough questions. Um, you know, my favorite song to sing. One of my favorite songs to sing has always been "Midnight Cry,"
Mm-hmm.
and I probably get requested to sing that more than any other song, which is fine with me, even though it's Gold City's song. Uh, it's
People
just
love that
it's
song.
a great song that stood the test of time, and that song, and I normally introduce it this way. It stood the test of time because even though that was one of the biggest hits in the history of gospel music, what, 35, 40 years ago now, in the
Yeah,
80s,
something like that.
uh,
85 or 6 it came out.
oh, long time ago. Um, it's truer now than it was then.
Oh, I know.
And that song is so cool anyway. Greg Day is a friend of mine. Greg and his brother Chuck wrote that song. And that's
Mhm.
the first song that Greg Day ever attempted to write after he got saved. You believe that?
Wow. I did, I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's 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 some wonderful trivia.
Songs to sing. I'm a huge ballad guy. Chris and them will tell you that. Just about every song I brought to the Kingsmen that I was sold on cutting. It was a big ballad, except Battle Cry. Except Battle
Mhm.
Cry. I kind of Lee Black had sent me that one, and the demo was a good bit different than our cut turned out to be, and it
Mhm.
took a while for that song to grow on everybody, but I did like that one. But I naturally gravitate toward big ballads because they pull at my heartstrings, and
They
um,
really do
we shall see
me
Jesus.
too.
We shall
Hmm?
see Jesus by Diane
Oh
Wood.
yeah.
That's
Oh yeah.
one of my favorite songs to sing. In fact, I'm cutting it right now on a new CD,
Oh yeah.
40
Oh
years old.
yeah. Oh yeah. That's a great song, and I tell you I tell you what, folks. I've heard the demos for this new album that he is working on. We sat in a hotel room in Madison, Alabama, back in April, just listening to these demos.
Do you forget
Folks, this is,
any day?
I guess not. But
We
folks, this is
I sang at a church Sunday night that I had been to before. No, Sunday morning that I had been to before, like a year earlier. And Will
yeah, I was
told
there. Yeah.
in order every song that I sang there the last time.
Yes, yes, I
That's
did.
nuts to me. I mean, Rain Man here. I'm gonna.
Why, why, why do you think I major in in history in college? But anyways, folks, we were sitting in this Hampton Inn in Madison, Alabama, back in April, and we were just listening to the demos of this new album, folks. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. It's going to be that this album has potential, and I'm not just saying this. I mean it. It has potential to be a number one album. If people will listen to it, if people will buy it, it's got that potential.
They all would be if it was up to you.
They all would be, yes, but no, I mean,
I
now you know how much I love your latest release, Wonderful Story of Love. This new one you're working on beats Wonderful Story 2-1. That's how good I think it's going to be.
We'll see. We'll see. We just put all that in good Lord's hands.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, another tough question for you. I try to think of good ones. Why should young people, especially ones who are not familiar with Southern gospel music, give your music a listen?
Hmm. Why should young people give my music a listen? The easy answer is because it's a lot better than the other garbage they're listening to.
That's the truth. That's the truth. All right. It's just it's just been it's
Um,
just been the trend, of trying to bridge the gap between contemporary Christian and Southern gospel. I mean, and there's nothing wrong with contemporary Christian. It's just not my cup of tea. So I've been really trying to to lean people my age, people I know, and to listen to some of your music, because I know if they'll just listen, they'll like it. And every single person who I've had success in doing so has.
well, that's awesome, Will, and you certainly do your part in trying to get young people involved, and old guys like me appreciate that too. But you know, Will, really, I think it's all in what you're raised on.
Mhm.
I had a great uncle that sang in a gospel group, played guitar and sang. My great uncle Tiny Hickman in a group called the Challengers. They were out of Birmingham, Alabama. I can remember going and hearing them when I was a kid, and it would just be packed with people, packed with people. And then I had a great aunt. I know an aunt, my mother's oldest sister, my aunt Dolores. She played piano, wrote songs, even has a few published in hymnals, and played and sang. And man, I can remember her. She was just one of those all over every key on the piano, and had the big hair, and it shook when she played. And I mean, and so that's what I was raised on. So I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
natural thing for me to like that kind of music. Now, you know, one of the most frustrating things has always been, and I certainly wouldn't want to offend any any pastor out there that may watch this and um, is doing things the best way that he knows how through much prayer and experience. But even with the Kingsmen, a lot of times we would go into church, and before we would get on stage to sing, they would whisk away all the kids and
Hmm.
take them off to Awana or whatever. And it's, to me, it's like a neon sign saying, "Hey, this music's not for you. This is the old folks stuff." Or they'll have you in, and this still happens, and they'll make it a seniors event or whatever they choose to call their seniors, the Wise Owls Club or whatever, and
Hmm.
it'll be an event catered toward them, and there'll be nobody there under 65, 70 years old, which is fine. Goodness knows I love those 65, 70-year-old people, because if it weren't for them, boy, it would really be a tough sell. And but it's just different times. It's just different times. I think there'll always be, people have been saying that gospel music was dying for 50 years, and it has been dying for 50 years if you consider the crowds dwindling. But they may not be as big as they used to be. They may not be as easy to round up as they used to be. But people still love this music. I meet a lot of people who are 40s and 50s, like myself, who ventured away from it, and then they start coming back to it. This music's not going anywhere. And, I hope and pray that it gets back to its heyday. I think probably the 80s and 90s was some of the heydays of gospel music, even though back in the 50s and 60s you had groups like the Blackwoods and the Statesmen who were superstars. They hung out with the Justin Biebers and the Michael Jacksons of their time, being Elvis Presley, because they were superstars. But there also wasn't, 150 full-time groups out on the road either.
Oh yeah.
So I think the 80s and the 90s was probably the heyday of gospel music. And
I think so too. There was lots of good music that came out during that time.
Oh man, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Some of the best, no doubt. And hey, I hope it gets back to that. But who knows? That's only God knows. But I appreciate folks like you that's trying their best to get it going in young people's eyes, and that's what the music needs. And hey, it's a song that I hear and I love. I don't care what label it's under. You can call it country, you can call it praise and worship or CC, whatever. I cut the Eye of the Storm and All My Hope. Both of those are songs that came off of contemporary radio, but they're
definitely. Oh yeah, and both of those are two of the most requested songs that I've seen people wanting to hear.
Yeah, those songs. Yeah, those are powerful songs, man. I don't care. Like I said, I don't care what label is affixed to them. They're great songs.
Oh, I know. Oh no, and that's really my main argument whenever I try to push people into listening to your music. I'm like, don't look at this as a label. Judge the music if it's good or if it's bad. Even other genres of music have that problem. I was watching the interview with Dennis DeYoung, the former lead singer of the rock band Styx, and he was talking about that back in the 70s and even now that groups of Styx fans have arguments. This album was better because it was prog rock. This album was better because it was another kind of rock. So it's within every genre. So I will agree with him. Listen to the music, judge whether it is good or it is bad.
Right.
That's what I try to do with that.
Yep.
So what has been the funniest moment on stage that you can recall?
Oh, funniest moment. Man, you should have given me these questions in advance. Here. See, funny stuff happens, and then I can't ever think of it when I'm trying to. Because I'm not like you, I don't retain everything. But I can go back to the other question about my most memorable service issue.
Yeah.
It really wasn't a service. It was a prelude to a service. You mentioned my wife going with me. We took a little trip to North Georgia, and I was scheduled to be at First Free Will Church in Hayesville, North Carolina, about 2 or 3 weeks later.
Yep, that's right. And for those watching, First Free Will Baptist Church is in my hometown of Hayesville, North Carolina. So,
And the pastor and I, pastor's Chris Rumfeld.
That's right.
He and I had talked on the phone, but we had never met. And I knew that he was not going to be at the service when I came to his church.
Only
So
time that he could take his vacation.
yeah, he had a scheduled vacation that week. He found out I was coming and went on vacation. I don't blame him. But anyway, I wanted to run by the church on our way out of town and see if he was there just to say hello. But he wasn't there. But his secretary is Vicky. And Vicky, forgive me, but your last name has Will. What's her last name? Will, no. It starts with an M. I know that.
I'm probably going to
I
butcher this
stumped Will.
horribly. Morehart? I'll have to go and ask for a phonetic pronunciation, but
But I had
it's
the M.
spelled Morda. I won't even try the rest. Be amazed I got that much.
Okay, it's Vicky M. Vicky M was his secretary, and she let me in, and she showed us around the place, and was just so nice. And I'm thinking, well, that's very nice of her. But then before she left, she wanted to take my wife and I by the hand, and that lady prayed the sweetest prayer over our travels and our family and my ministry. And that was just, those type things don't happen every day. So
Oh no. And Vicky and her husband, they're super sweet people. I remember that service. We had a great time, and they took us out to lunch afterwards, and that was just awesome. Yeah, I'm here.
okay, sorry, I think I
You
hit.
went in the black there.
Sorry about that.
Oh, you're good. Yeah, you're good. So, but yeah, I agree with you. That was a good one. Now for funniest / most surprising traveling memory. I think I know what you may say on this one.
Well, remind me of it.
What happened to you this past weekend at the Country Inn and Suites in Asheville?
Oh my goodness gracious. Okay, so I am in the shower on the 4th floor of the Country Inn and Suites in Asheville, and the fire alarm went off. That's an eye-opening experience. I mean, these thoughts start running through your head. I mean, hey, what if the building's on fire between here and the 1st floor? What am I going to do? And so, yeah, I got half dried off and got on some clothes and grabbed my wallet and keys, and out the door I went. Thankfully, I got about 2 floors down in the stairwell, and somebody hollered up from me, "They burnt the toast." Hey, baby.
I definitely didn't know. I definitely didn't know that. Oh, looky there.
Oh, she's the boss. This is Bella. Say hello. Hey.
Oh, Bella's cute.
Our camera shy.
Super cute. So,
Camera shy. See you.
so the next question we have for you. What do you do whenever you are not traveling and singing?
Fish.
Fish. Now, you have a fishing YouTube channel. And for
Yep.
those interested, let's tell us about your YouTube channel for fishing.
Well, last year I was sitting around the house so much, not traveling, that I did a whole lot of fishing. And I said to myself, Self, why don't I record some of this? All these folks have YouTube channels that I'm watching. Maybe I can record them and make my own YouTube channel. So I did. I bought me a couple of action cameras and some more equipment, and I started recording my fishing adventures. My deal with it is I call it sneak in some gospel. I figure there may be a guy or a gal that will look up a fishing video or run across a fishing video just expecting to see some fishing, and it may be someone that never darkens the door of a church or doesn't know the Lord or anything else, and maybe they hear the gospel for the first time, or maybe they hear it for the first time in a long time, or maybe God will put something on my heart in that video to say that will really speak to them. And
That's great.
just like my singing ministry, I just view it as another tool to try to reach someone, and also to provide you a little. If you do enjoy fishing and following my antics around here, I even do a little cooking on there and different stuff, and just have fun with it. But always try my best to work in a devotion, that sort of thing somewhere in there. So just another outreach of mine.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, and the
Hook,
name of that YouTube channel,
hook, line, and singer. Y'all look me up.
and that is a clever name for that. Now I have some other questions that people had sent in. Before I get to the one on the list, I got to scroll down here. Your buddy Adam Gardner wants to know, ask Bob about talking to Alabama football players about politics. I
Well,
got to you eventually, Adam. I'm sorry it took a while. We had a long list of
uh,
questions. And
th-
you were not at Coleman back in June, and I was very disappointed that I did not get to meet you.
those of you who know me or keep up with me on Facebook know that I'm pretty passionate about my politics. I try to keep politics off stage, but I tell people if they want to know where I stand, they can come to Facebook and Twitter and they can figure it out real quick. Uh, but yeah, a certain Alabama running back and I had a little run in on Twitter, I believe it was, and I had a comment back to him that wound up kind of going viral. Thanks, Adam. I appreciate that.
I don't even think that that I remember that. What'd you say to him?
I don't remember, to be honest. I don't remember what it was about, but it was it involved stick to running the football and trying to get across the goal line.
Wait, never mind. I think I do remember seeing that. I just don't remember what it said. You stumped me twice tonight.
Thanks, Adam.
Thanks, Adam. And now your buddy Preston Corbett asked, "Who is the best fishing guide in North Alabama?"
Tracy Umber.
Tracy Umber. Yeah, I remember seeing that video on Hook, Line, and Singer.
That's right. Tracy took me on a trolling for crappie trip. Took Preston and I. Preston's a longtime buddy of mine, and Preston actually got me in contact with Tracy and took me up there to meet him for the first time. And we went on a trolling trip for crappie up there on Bear Creek Lake, I think it was. And I'm going back in October on a live bait trip for smallies, smallmouth. So I'm looking forward to that. Tracy can put you on them. Look him up, Tracy Umber Fishing. He's on Facebook.
Oh yeah, very nice. Kurt Bauman or Bauman, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, asked, when are you coming north of the Mason-Dixon line?
Kurt, do you know where the Mason-Dixon line is? The Mason line is on the border between Maryland and Pennsylvania. The first time I ever found that out, I was so disappointed. I thought this is way several states too high. But
well, I saw on Facebook that Mr. Kurt lives in Ohio.
Lives in Ohio. I have not been to Ohio much. We need to work on that, Kurt. Hey, you find a church that'll have me in up there, buddy. You find one church and I'll work and try to find two, and we'll call it a trip. Kurt came to see me last in Kentucky somewhere. Sure did. Appreciate that. Good guy.
Absolutely. And I believe this
But
would be a good time.
I'm not sure when I'm coming back, Kurt. You have to check my schedule on bobsellersministries.com. I'm not sure what I've got. I've got my Sundays scheduled through the rest of this year, but I'm going to start trying to hunker down on 2022 soon. So let's set something up.
Absolutely, absolutely. And for those of you watching out there who may want to know, well, what does it take to book Bob? What can I do to book him? Basically, if your church or another church that you know of that's in your area, if you think they'd be interested in having him, talk to your pastor. Talk to the pastor, talk to the music minister, or whomever is in charge. And basically, all you have to do is ask and see if they will explain that there's no set charge or anything like that for church services and whatnot, and see if they'll book him.
Yeah, and it's a lot of people will give me somebody's name and number and tell me to call them, but it's your rate of success is so much better when somebody they know calls them. So if you're in an area and you'd like to see me come to your area, then find a pastor or somebody that leads worship at a church in that area, and you talk to them and say, here's the deal. Here's his website. Here you can listen to him here on Apple Music or whatever. And if you'd like to, I'll get in contact with him for you. Or hey, when would you like to set it up? Somebody that has the connection has a much higher success rate than me just cold calling somebody, even in dropping a name with them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And just as well as I do, if I spend lots of time up here in Western North Carolina, north of Georgia, reaching out to churches and whatnot, saying, "Hey, this is Bob Sellers. Would you book him?" And sometimes I've had success, and other times I haven't. So that's just part of the game.
If I had a Will Tyson in every state, I would be busier than I want to be.
I'm already working on getting him busy for 2022, which reminds me, May the 21st, 2022, at Truett Memorial First Baptist Church in Hayesville, North Carolina, Will Tyson Promotions is promoting our first concert that I am solely in charge of myself.
Awesome.
I've been in cahoots with other churches where I've co-sponsored events and stuff, but this is the one that I'm solely sponsoring myself. Bob will be there. That is at 6:00 that night on May the 21st, 2022. That's a Saturday, and we want you to come. I do not care if you live in Alabama, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Kentucky, wherever we have hotels around here. I work at a resort. If you want to come, you get in touch with me, and we will see that you get a good rate on the room somewhere so you can come. The cost of admission is a $10 suggested donation at the door, and the reason why we say a $10 suggested donation is I'm not going to ticket an event and not let someone in who might not can afford to come in. They might be lost. They might need to hear the gospel. I'm not going to turn them away. That's just wrong to me. So that's why we say $10 suggested donation. We'll be taking up a love offering on top of that, because this is Bob's livelihood. And we, the fans of gospel music, need to support him and support other groups as well, because if we don't, then no one will. So that's what we're going to do. I'd love to see everyone there. This church is really near and dear to me, because I can take you to the exact spot in that church where I asked Jesus to come into my heart. I can pinpoint you right there. So this church is really near and dear to me, and so for me to be able to promote my first concert on my own at this church is going to be phenomenal. And it's the First Baptist Church of Clay County, so of course we got lots of room there. So no, we are fully prepared, and we're looking forward to a great event, and that cannot come soon enough.
Awesome, man. May. Hey, blink twice, it'll be here.
Absolutely. And then the next day you'll be back at Tomatla Baptist and Marble that we mentioned earlier in this. Awesome. And also too, that's a good segue. Tell them I might have to help you, maybe not. Tell them where you'll be this this upcoming weekend. You'll
You
be
will
back in my area.
be in Murphy. Uh, yeah, help me, Will.
Yes. You'll be in the audio was kind of a lagging here. You'll be in Murphy, North Carolina, at 11 o'clock this Sunday at Upper Peachtree Baptist Church.
Okay.
And then that night, you'll be in Franklin, North Carolina at the Ridgecrest
Yeah.
Baptist Church at 6 o'clock p.m. And the Ridgecrest one, if any of y'all watching this live in the Franklin, North Carolina area, it will be broadcasted on radio. I don't know what radio station it is right now. Whenever I know, I'll be sure to put that information out. So if you can't make it, it'll be on radio. So that was we talked to how that date came up. I reached out to Miss Doris Pendergrass up there at Agnew Ridgecrest, and I just sent her a message saying that who you were, would your church be interested in having him there, and didn't hear anything back for a long time. Well, we were on that trip to Malton, and she sent you an email that night saying, "Hello, I'm Doris Pendergrass from Ridgecrest Baptist in Franklin. We'd love to have you sometime to get you on their radio program. When can you come?" So you said, "Well, I'm going to be in Murphy on September the 5th, so let's just come that night since I'll already be up there." That's how that event came up.
Looking forward to it. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
Up in your part of the country. That's a beautiful, beautiful part of the country up there around North Georgia and southern, southwestern North Carolina. All around in that area is just beautiful. I like it up there a whole lot. They got lots of lakes too.
Oh yeah. Lake Chatuge.
All right. We got any more questions?
Well, let's see what we have here.
Okay.
So basically, we have went through just about every question I have except for the last one. Do we have any last thoughts or comments? Anything we missed?
Oh, for me, you're talking to me.
Yeah.
No, I think we've covered it all, buddy.
Oh, I know. Well, that was sort of the goal with doing this, because as y'all know, Facebook Live videos, they can be saved and whatnot. And so next time I say, "Well, who is Bob Sellers?" I think we've hit just about every point that we can hit. If there's one thing we missed, it'll come to me tonight at midnight whenever I'm laying down trying to fall asleep and whatnot. Well, Bob, thank you so much for agreeing to do this, and thank you so much for your willingness to help me with my promotions business. For anyone out there who has not liked my page yet, please hit like. That would really help me out of sight in the world. And what was you going to say, Bob? I'm sorry, I cut you off.
Thank you, man. I appreciate everything you do, not just for me in this ministry, but for the gospel period. And we're all in this together. I say at churches, I try to always remember, like after the love offering has been received or whatever, to thank everybody. And whether they were able to put a penny or 100 in, whatever, they're a vital part of my ministry from that point forward. But I got wherever I'm singing at that moment from the people the week before, and the week before that, and the week before that. So, and there you are, 22-year-old college kid who's passionate about the gospel and passionate about this music. And man, that I've told you this to your face, but that blesses this old man's heart. And I hope people watching this will be encouraged in knowing that, number one, there are people out there that are excited about the gospel and about spreading the gospel of Jesus Christ, trying to reach people in all different types of ways, and also that are excited about this style of music, this genre of music, gospel music, Southern gospel, whatever you want to call it. and are willing to work and put time in. And Will, man, he puts a lot of man hours in on trying to get stuff done for gospel music, and helps me so much up in that part of the country. And I can't thank you enough, buddy. And I'm glad, thankful that God put you in my path a couple years ago, and you've just become a great friend, and almost like a young'un of mine, a little bit. And
Yeah.
I appreciate you, and I appreciate your mom and dad too for putting up with me, and for supporting you like they do, Mr. Robert and Miss Anita, and they're just great
Yeah,
folks. And think a lot of y'all. Appreciate it.
Well, they think a lot of you too, and they're really looking forward to seeing again this week in stuff. And thank you so much. I mean, you've really had a huge impact on my life, and this is nothing new. You've heard me say this before, but I'll say it again for everyone watching. You've had such a huge impact on my life, and I say this from the bottom of my heart. I do not know where my life would be. I do not know where my walk with Christ would be if it was not for you. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart.
Well, I give the Lord all the praise for that, buddy. Mm-hmm. I appreciate you, Will.
Well, thank you, Bob, and thank you everyone for tuning in. We'll try and do this again sometime here in the near future, and fill y'all in on some other stuff. And Bob, thank you for taking part in this, and thank you for going along with the length. I don't even know what time it is. I'm having such a good time tonight. So thank you so much, and I will see you this weekend.
All right, buddy. Hey, thanks to everybody that tuned in, and thank you, Will. Bless y'all. We'll see you. Bye-bye.
We'll see you, folks. Bye-bye.